the regular order of business tonight. We do have some special guests with us, and it's some members, not all, but some members of the Exploit Search and Rescue team. And I'd like to ask those members now if they would join me up front. We got a small presentation to make, and also just like to have a few words and give you an opportunity as well. So all representatives are welcome. Okay, so we do have, as I mentioned, quite a few. It's nice to see so many show up here tonight, and people who will see this or looking at this live now will know that these are some members, and even the latecomers are welcome. Just only a little bit late. So these are obviously very important people in our community. You know, as you know, they had a big fundraiser recently to get their new truck equipped and the new vehicle itself. So I'll let them speak on that in a minute. But from council's perspective in the community, really we recognize how important this group is and how much we appreciate what you do, because it's different than a lot of other groups. These people give up their time voluntarily and are called on anytime, and they could be anywhere, and they stop what they're doing and they go and risk their own safety in many cases to help others. So it's very, you know, I guess it's tough to come up with words when you think about what you guys do and what it means to the community. And I mean it, because you hear it all the time, you know, search and rescue we're called, search and rescue we're called, and just really can't say enough. So thanks to everybody, and please pass along to the members as well. And I know all council and staff feel the same way. We talked about the same when we had our meeting here recently. Without you, where would we be really? And you provide so much benefit, and how many cases would have been much worse, or maybe not prevented if it weren't for your work and your quick thinking and action. So, you know, I just want to thank you. And I do have a small presentation here, but before I do that, Mr. Gooby's here. Roger, I assume, Roger, I'll give you the presentation, but did you want to have a few words, just a message you'd like to give to the public or anything?
Yeah, certainly. You know, we just, you know, we started this project back in November, and it was a dream for us. So like everything, we realized the, you know, the economic hardships that's out there in the community and the businesses. But the response that we got has been overwhelming to us. And not only from the local area, because we service, you know, from Twillingate to Southbrook to Glenwood and all down the South Coast, Harbour Breton, Hermitage and Bay d'Espoir area. And the response that we got from our whole area has been unreal. And, you know, and even locals that come to us on the street and, you know, knock on the door and here's a donation. So every dollar helped us out, and certainly we appreciate everybody's support, and we certainly appreciate what the town does for us. So thank you very much.
Well, you're more than welcome, and obviously it's something that we love to do because we know what valuable service is provided. And it's not surprising, because you see then what the community thinks of search and rescue when you hear a fundraiser being so successful, right? And I know Roger contacted me on this long way back, and we decided as a council, we let Roger know, you know, we're going to wait and see how things go and see where you're to. We didn't want to be preemptive of any donations or anything, and not be able to help you out as we wanted to. And we know you got your full goal.
Yep.
But we know there's other things that come up, and there's other, you know, things that you could use for money in the bank account. So council is proud to give you this $2,500 check as a donation. And again, thanks for everything you guys do. We certainly appreciate it.
Certainly appreciate it.
Thanks, Roger.
Thank you.
The chair's out of the way. Sorry.
Here, look.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good evening, everyone.
All right, thank you.
You're all welcome to stick around for the meeting.
Great job.
You wouldn't have
Thanks, Dylan, for all you do. Thanks a lot, Brenna. Much appreciated, Joe. Thanks for all you do. Take care. Did we lock the door?
We'll just give these folks a few minutes to move on with their evenings. I don't know how many times I've invited people to stick around and after the presentations and the proclamations. I can't remember anybody sticking around yet.
Same reaction.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. We'll keep them here. But again, and I know the community out there, I won't go on, but such a valuable service, and could be minus 40, it could be fires, it could be, in the middle of nowhere, and they do such a fantastic job. And we're very, very fortunate to have them. So with that, I'm going to call a regular meeting to order. And the first order of business is the adoption of minutes from meeting number 592. Any errors or omissions? Hearing none, I'll need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Knoll, seconded by Councillor Hiscock. Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Do we have any business arising from our last minutes? None? Okay. Move into the disbursement report. Councillor Dwyer, please.
I move the disbursement report dated May 14th, 2024, in the amount of $570,670.32.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Dwyer, seconded by Councillor Little. Any discussion on the disbursement report? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, move into committee reports. Deputy Mayor, you're up first. Community Services.
Thank you, Mayor. Community Services Committee met 5 p.m. Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. Those in attendance were myself as Chair, Councillor Holly Dwyer, Councillor Andrew Little, Councillor Amy Cody, Councillor Bob Hiscock, Councillor Dave Knoll, Darren Finn, our Chief Administrative Officer, Robin Hannaford, our Communications Officer, and Todd Mercer, our Director of Community Services. First order of business was the Gordon Pinson tribute. The directors gave an update on the ongoing work to recognise the legendary actor, author, painter and writer, Mr. Gordon Pinson. The director informed the committee that a bronze statue has been sourced from a Newfoundland artist and that he has been working with the provincial departments to source out funding to help with the project. The committee recommends that the director continue to work on the project and provide an update at a later meeting. Sprucewood Academy correspondence. The committee received the correspondence from Sprucewood Academy looking for assistance with using the town property to have a fun day for students. The committee recommends the director inform the group that the facility and equipment will be made available to them for the June 17th event. Community Garden update. The director informed the committee about a meeting with the Community Garden executive, the mayor, deputy mayor, and himself. At that meeting, the executive expressed their appreciation for the continued support from the town of Grand Falls-Windsor and its staff. The Community Garden Committee also informed them that additional beds must be replaced this year and that they also have a waiting list for garden plots and will be looking to expand to meet some of the demand. The committee will look for community support and any additional community grants that are available. The committee recommended that the director look to help the group with additional support as per our community grant program. It also recommended that the director work with the Department of Public Works and Development to look at any possible expansion and trail development in the area and report back at a later meeting. First-time skaters update. The director informed the committee that all first-time skater requests for the 2024 season for both figure skating and minor hockey have been approved. Both groups have extended their appreciation for the town's continued support and partnership in trying to grow the two sports in our community. The committee did have some discussion of the last-minute cancellation of funding support from Hockey Newfoundland and Labrador in hosting of the provincial tournament in Grand Falls-Windsor. The committee were disappointed that an organisation with financial resources to help would cancel funding the day before the tournament. The committee recommends that the director inquire about the last-minute funding cancellation and report back on the findings at the committee meeting. Community Services Special Events Update. The director gave an update on the upcoming special events that the Department of Community Services has or will be offering this summer. The director informed the committee that the Golden Girls Night was a big success, with it selling out in 12 minutes. The director also informed the committee that the 90s event for the end of May has been sold out, and the tickets for our new concert with Shani Canuck featuring Bud Davidge, Arthur and Fred of the Navigators, Nada Sonata, and Man Down will go on sale May 16th and are available at Community Services Office. The director also informed the committee that the Salmon Festival video and schedule has been released and has been well received in the community. Girl Power Inc. correspondence. The committee reviewed correspondence from Girl Power Inc. for financial support again this year. The committee recommended that the director meet with the group and get additional details on the length of stay in the community, number of shows, and costs associated with hosting the event, and report back at the Community Services meeting. New business, Curling Club Farmers Market. The director discussed the opportunity to use the Curling Club as a business opportunity in partnership with the community market. The director informed the committee that he has had an informal discussion with both groups and will continue the dialogue with them and the funding agencies to see if the support for the facility can be provided for its modification or expansion. Spring cleanup. The director informed the committee that the annual spring cleanup has started in and around our side roads, facilities, and parking lots. The director was also disappointed to inform the committee that only days after community groups cleaned areas of town, litter was present once again. The committee will look at working with the communications officer to do some public announcements of the benefits of keeping our community beautiful, and please ask residents to respect the law and put garbage in its proper place. Swim Club correspondence. The committee reviewed the correspondence from the Grand Falls-Windsor Gators Swim Club and their request for financial assistance to help with the loss of support from the federal student allocation the club usually gets and the extra cost of equipment required to host events. The committee recommended that the director work with the club to secure funding opportunities, to help with the costs, and to provide them with additional community support if required. Canvas space. The director informed the committee that discussions are still ongoing to find space for the Canvas committee to start their programming and studio setup. The committee recommends the director continue the discussion and report back at a later meeting. Jay's Care Foundation. The director informed the committee that the Jay's Care Foundation will be hosting an event at the Goodyear Avenue Field on May 31st, 2024, and that all councillors are encouraged to attend with the opening ceremonies starting at 11 a.m. The meeting adjourned at 6:30 p.m. and I move the recommendations and report of this committee.
Okay, it's been moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Dwyer. Any discussion on the Community Services minutes? Councillor Noel.
Just a couple of items here. With respect to the spring cleanup, we've had so many groups spend an enormous amount of time and seeing the search and rescue. Just recently did the Trans-Canada Highway as well, and picked up like 50 bags of garbage. But just out last night, went into one of the local store last night to pick up a few items, and there was a pile of garbage blowing around. So I just mentioned one of the employees that was there. Maybe get a chance to ask your boss if you can run out and just pick it up. So I just think it's time that some of the employees, or businesses, I should say, more so than any, take them in, during the day to have a look around their property, and if they can, they got an employee that's relatively free, send them out. Because not just the residents is trying to take care of the business areas. Businesses have employees there, and I think the onus is on them from time to time to take a minute, look at their property, and if they can, pick up some of the garbage. And we all know it's not theirs, no more is it ours, but we all do the right thing. We pick up the garbage when they get an opportunity. And just to mention that with community gardens, we've had a pile of students down get some community contribution hours there, but I thought it was kind of cool. I didn't know. While I spent a bit of time there, it's educational. They get a beehive there from Tuck's Beehive, and one of the young girls there, she was frightened to death about bees, and a few bees are buzzing around. And then, one of the adults there, Wayne and Cyril and William were there, and so they took her over and they explained to her about the bees and the process and the gardening, and she really had no idea about. She was just there to get the community hours, but just the educational aspect of what the guys did to show her and calm her down. I think it was just fabulous. I mean, it just worked so well. I didn't know that was there either, but just kind of cool how they took the time to initiate her into the need for bees. So, thanks, Mayor.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. Noel, and there's no doubt that the community garden is doing great work out there, and anybody who hasn't taken a look up close, of course, they're in their planting in early parts of the season now, but as the season goes on, you'll see more and more things growing in there, and the fall is amazing to see, and, they've got a bunch of beds there for the food bank, they've got autism society, they've got, different youth Y2C, they have beds there and individuals. So, like I said, it's not just about community gardening and someone having a bed individually. There's a bunch of benefits to it, and it's a great thing. And, in this case, you had some people who are very passionate about it, who are driving it forward. And you mentioned the three people that, have been driving force behind it, Wayne Thomas and Cyril Tubbert and William Olfert, who do a great job. So thanks to them. With regards to garbage, I think you make an excellent point, when it comes to businesses. Because when you look around, particularly in our supermarket section of the town, we'll say, at around Cromer Avenue and Harris Avenue, a lot of the things that you see are flyers, are cups, are things that are labeled. Now, obviously, we don't expect businesses to go all over town and pick up what other people are throwing down. But when things are getting blown around and that, it would be great if they would take that, and I think we should. And I know we've done this before, but we haven't done it for a long while, I don't think, is to contact the businesses and ask them if they would consider doing that. Because it's important, and I would suggest that there's a good publicity opportunity for them if they do it right, and something that would make a big difference in that area. We get the largest amount of traffic, of anywhere in town on Cromer Avenue area, and it's nice if we could keep that clean. So I think that's an excellent point. Any other discussion or comment on community services? Councillor Dwyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Just with respect to the Gordon Pinsent tribute, it has been a priority for council to get this project underway, and happy to say that the director has made some progress with respect to funding, and hopefully we'll have that finalized. This is Newfoundland Year of the Arts, and there certainly isn't anyone more deserving than Gordon Pinsent to be memorialized with a bronze statue in our community. So I think we would see a lot of people out for the unveiling of that statue, and I hope it happens. Thank you.
Yes, I believe it will, and as you said, council are working hard at it, and we definitely want to do that, among other things, because we recognize Gordon Pinsent is, our most famous, successful person that's ever come from this community. And to be able to recognize him with a bronze statue, but also we've talked about other things that we'd like to do. We do have Pinsent Drive, but there's an opportunity to have some highway signage that recognizes this is the home of Gordon Pinsent, and I'm sure there are a lot of other ideas, but I think it would be great if we had some public support in terms of, not generally, because I know we have public support, but for people who may be passionate about this or who knew Gordon or for whatever reason, maybe to get together and try to help, because a bronze statue is not a cheap venture. We've come to find out. And, if we could raise funds ourselves through grants and that, there's only so much available, of course. But if we had the public appeal, maybe driven by some citizens, it would be greatly appreciated and would help us a lot to reach that goal as soon as possible. Thanks. Any other comments or discussion? I got one thing I'll mention there. Really, just looking through the minutes and you see all the all the groups and that we have partnerships with in town, and you see all the events and that going on as well. You know, I know, and I'm sure a lot of people do, from going around the province and being around other municipalities. Councillor Cody would certainly have experience being around a lot of municipalities. But, you know, Grand Falls-Windsor is one of the few communities, if any, that provides the kind of support we do to some of these groups. And we hear it all the time from groups in other communities who say, I wish our town gave money for our ski club. I wish our town helped out with the choirs and the canvas and, you know, whatever really comes our way. We're trying our best to do whatever we can for them, and I could list a ton of groups that benefit from that. And it is important to do that, because these are the groups that do the work that, you know, make our community so great and give people opportunities to do things and all the other spin-off benefits. So I thought it was important to mention that. And when it comes to the events, I mean, you know, again, you hear sometimes there's nothing to do, but I guess it depends too. We've tried a lot of things for younger people, like teenagers and that too. It's very difficult, you know. The things we have tried were sort of unsuccessful. They didn't come out, and I don't know how we're going to capture them and get them to participate in some events. But if anybody got any ideas, we'd definitely like to hear them, because we'd like to have something for all segments of the population, you know, not just any particular one group, but you just, in talking there in our meeting the other day, we got concerts in the park will be starting soon. We got a Rib Fest this year. We got our bouncy castles that will be in the playgrounds every Friday. We've got a Shannon Gannuck concert coming up, of course, Canada Day. We just had a newcomers event not long ago. Our food festival, we had a 90s event Friday night that went, I hear, very, very well. We had a Golden Girls event, of course, our Salmon Festival. And we've got a bunch of seniors events that we do, and there's a lot more. And the seniors events, once a month we have a seniors event, and we try to do something constructive to help seniors and give them a social opportunity and have a little snack in that. And we had it at the St. Albans Anglican Church there last time, and tomorrow actually at the Memorial United Church we have our seniors event, and we're going to have some guests there in the form of health professionals. I think Krista Barney is going to be there. Michelle Critch will be there. So, you know, there's going to be a discussion with the seniors on the importance of mental health, about, you know, what was the other thing, Deputy Mayor, you said? And Tina Jewar, that's what I was thinking about, like estate planning or wills, this kind of stuff. So anybody who wants to participate in that can do so. And that's 10:30 tomorrow morning, I think, right? Oh, is it? And it's sold out. Okay. Well, too bad. Maybe we'll have to get a bigger venue if they become popular like that. But keep your eye out, you know, for those events. And if you know of anybody who could avail of them, because I know we do a lot of that try to support our seniors, and it's good to get a good crowd. Anyway, I will ask one more time if anybody has any comments. Community services. If not, we're going to move her in a seconder. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, corporate services. Councillor Dwyer, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The following are the minutes for corporate services held 6:30 p.m. Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. Present were myself as chair, Councillor Amy Cody, Councillor Dave Knoll, Deputy Mayor Mike Brown, Councillor Bob Hiscock, Councillor Andrew Little. Staff in attendance were Darren Finn, our Chief Administrative Officer, Robin Hannaford, Communications Officer, and Steve Goss, Director of Corporate Services. Labor report. The committee reviewed the labor costs as of week 18. Total labor was $1,144,937. This was $15,759, or 1.4% over budget. The committee is pleased that the overall labor cost is near budget as the busy summer season approaches. The committee recognizes the difficulty in balancing the labor budget against the list of work to be done and encourages management to continue utilizing their resources to maximize productivity throughout the summer. Disbursement report. The committee reviewed the disbursement report in the amount of $570,670.32 and recommends this be presented at the next council meeting. Taxation receivables analysis. The committee reviewed the taxation receivables analysis as of April 30th, 2024. The total tax receivables at April 30th, 2024 is $7,267,273 compared to $6,976,692 in 2023, an increase of 4.2%. Collection plans are underway for amounts in arrears. The committee continues to closely monitor the tax receivables and encourages all residents and businesses to ensure they pay their outstanding balances as soon as possible or contact staff at the town hall to set up a payment plan. Interest continues to accrue monthly on outstanding tax balances, so please act quickly to avoid additional interest charges. Donation to Exploit Search and Rescue Team. The committee reviewed a request for a donation towards a new vehicle to be used for ice rescue operations and equipment transport for the Exploit Search and Rescue Team. There was some discussion about how important this group is to our community, especially to those who require their services. The committee recommends staff compile some additional information and bring this request back to the next Committee of the Whole meeting for further discussion. Queen Street Dinner Theatre. The committee reviewed a request for advertising in the annual event program for the 2024 season. The committee recommends approval of a half-page advertisement in the program and for the communications officer to provide necessary information to the Queen Street Dinner Theatre staff. The committee also discussed a request from the Queen Street Dinner Theatre related to funding for 3 student employees. The approximate cost is $5,000 per student. Due to the recent announcement from the federal government that approximately $625 million in job funding was cut from the 2024 federal budget, the Queen Street Dinner Theatre received funding for 3 less summer student jobs for the summer. The shows are an integral part of the tourism industry for Central Newfoundland, and additional funding is required to continue them at the same level as in past years. The committee recommends providing a grant to the Queen Street Dinner Theatre in the amount of $10,000 to help cover the reduction in funding for the students, and will provide other supports as required so they can continue with the same number of students as anticipated for this year. PWD-3 land sale policy. The committee reviewed draft changes to the PWD-3 land sales policy as proposed by staff. The committee recommends staff make some additional changes and bring back to the next Committee of the Whole meeting for further discussion. Municipal Assessment Agency correspondence. The committee reviewed correspondence from the Municipal Assessment Agency regarding assessment values for 2025. The average residential property in Grand Falls-Windsor will see an increase of 3.93%, and the average commercial property will see an increase of 4.97%. Residents will be mailed their assessment notices on June 3rd, 2024, and will have until August 2nd, 2024 to file a formal appeal with the Municipal Assessment Agency. Residents with questions on the valuation of their homes can reach out to the agency directly at the contact information noted on the assessment notices. The meeting adjourned at 8 p.m., and I move the recommendations and report of this committee.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Dwyer, seconded by Councillor Little. Any discussion on the corporate services minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Next up is Public Works and Development. Councillor Cody, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Public Works and Development Committee met on Wednesday, May 15th at 5 o'clock. Present, myself as the chairperson, Councillor Bob Hiscock, Mayor Barry Manuel, Councillors Holly Dwyer, Councillor Andrew Little, Councillor Dave Knoll, staff Darren Finn, Chief Administrative Officer, Robin Hannaford, Communications Officer, and Nelson Chapman, Director of Public Works and Development. The committee was provided updates from staff on the number of water complaints and the results of the regular water sampling. The number of calls has been lowered, and samples indicate higher levels of chlorine and lower levels of iron in areas where there were issues. Public Works staff have completed work on Bishop Street to improve water quality as well. The town's annual flushing program has also commenced, so there may be some slight pressure variances and discoloration during the next several weeks as staff move through the town. Asphalt Program 2024. The committee reviewed the proposed asphalt program for 2024. Staff are looking for final approval so the tender can be issued as soon as possible. The committee recommends staff make some additional changes and focus more on higher traffic areas in town. Once updated, it is to be referred to the next committee of the whole meeting for the final decision. To-let development. The committee discussed the development concept prepared by staff for a cul-de-sac from Park Street between the existing schools and the Windsor Pentecostal Church. The preliminary draft is part of a larger review by staff to look for areas of possible housing developments within the town to help address the housing need. Some of the land is owned by the school board. The committee recommends staff complete some additional work on the proposal and bring it to a future committee meeting for discussion. Crown Land Referral Queensway. The committee reviewed a Crown Land Referral request from EZ Property Holdings Limited for land adjacent to To-let Drive. The request is to obtain additional land next to their existing quadplexes to construct another 4-unit building. The committee recommends this be approved and for staff to discuss with the applicant the possibility of future development of the Crown land behind the current properties on Queensway. The committee also recommends a road easement be provided for future access to this land for development. 8 Ireland Drive. The committee was provided with the results of the appeal hearing concerning council's denial of a permit for the resident to park their travel trailer as it exceeded the permitted length in the development regulations. The adjudicator allowed the appeal and reversed the decision and directed council to reconsider the request for a permit and provide a reason for their decision. The committee then reviewed the circumstances surrounding this request once again. The committee recommends that the request for the permit be denied due to safety reasons. The trailer is long, high, and it extends very close to the edge of the sidewalk. This blocks the view of those exiting the driveway to see oncoming traffic or pedestrians in ample time to exit safely. Saturday drop-off. The committee was updated on the use of the Saturday drop-off events for 2023 and to date in 2024. In 2023, there were a total of 3,691 visits, over 18 events, and 456.74 tons of refuge was transported to the Central Newfoundland Waste Management Site in Norris Arm. To date, there have been 987 users with 93.35 tons of refuge collected. The committee is pleased with the high use and encourages more residents to take advantage of this great service subsidized by the town. Main Street Extension rezoning. The committee reviewed requests from several property owners along Main Street Extension to rezone the area from Conservation Zone to Rural Residential Zone, RR1, and the land near the pond from Environmentally Sensitive Area Zone, ESA, to Rural Residential Zone, RR1. One property owner cannot move forward with residential development under the current zoning. Land currently developed is considered non-conforming developments and cannot fully utilize their property like others in residential neighborhoods. Staff and a provincial planner have had discussions with government concerning the existing municipal habitat stewardship agreement and have proposed an area of rezoning that meets all requirements. This area continues to provide an ESA zone 30 meters from the shoreline of the pond. The committee recommends the rezoning request be approved as presented and for staff to commence the process. Housing amendments. The committee was presented with a proposal from staff to make changes to the municipal plan and development regulations that would help increase housing developments and allow for higher density living. To meet the demand for housing, the town needs to be less restrictive and encourage additional developments. These proposals include: 1. Allow garden suites, which would allow additional housing units to be constructed on all properties that are in residential zones. 2. Permit 2-unit housing in all residential zones. 3. Make multi-unit housing a discretionary use in all RS, RT, and RR1 zones. 4. Change the restriction on subsidiary apartments to permit more than one residential lot and to allow it in RM zones. 5. Provide the ability as a discretionary use to convert existing commercial properties into residential units. This could help produce multi-unit buildings for apartments. The committee recommends these changes are made and for staff to commence the process for the proposed amendments. Our meeting adjourned at 7:45 p.m., and I move the recommendations and the report of the committee.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Cody, seconded by Councillor Knoll. Any discussion on the Public Works and Development minutes? Councillor Cody.
Just a few comments on the water quality. Again, we continue to do our regular monitoring, but again, we do encourage residents, if you do experience discolored water, please call the depot, 489-0420 or 30 after hours, to make sure that we do get a proper record of what's happening, what's going on in the area at the time, so that we can continue to do our regular testing and research and tracking. On the Saturday drop-off, great to see those numbers. It's a very well-utilized program that we offer, subsidized, heavily subsidized, funded by the town of Grand Falls-Windsor. In combination with that, the town cleanup that's been happening with the contributions to the community groups for cleaning up certain portions of the town, and as well our household cleanup of all of the items of everything that's been discarded at the curbside, that our operators have been coming along and cleaning up. So when we offer all these programs, and then you hear about more litter just when something has been cleaned up. So it's really disappointing, to offer all these programs and to still see the carelessness of some people to just toss it out the window, or shove it down in an already full garbage can, knowing full well that it is going to come back up and end up on the ground, instead of taking your takeout bag or whatever home with you, and putting it in your own garbage to be collected, right on your curbside, giving it a toss out the window. So I would encourage residents and visitors to the community to, please be respectful. The community groups take great pride in cleaning up those areas. They're taking their pictures, they're posting, the kids who are involved are happy that they are involved in showing pride in their community. Search and Rescue last night had pictures posted. Councillor Knoll said like 50 bags of garbage. The picture I saw, there was probably, it seemed like more than 50. But just tremendous work, to do that, and picking up all kinds of things on the side of the road that, you wouldn't even normally think that would be there. But just again, encourage residents to be respectful, take pride in your community, and we'll certainly do what we can to make sure our community stays clean, but it has to be effort from everybody. Thank you.
Well said, thanks. Any other comments, discussion on Public Works? Okay, I just got, just a quick note on the water as well, just to add on, and Councillor Cody probably mentioned this at the last meeting, but our annual flushing program has begun, and that started a few weeks ago, I believe. We have seen some tremendous improvements in people's water around town. I know I live in an area, or at least my household, where I had discoloration on a regular basis, and I've noticed a huge difference. And I talked to a lot of other people that have as well, so it's great to see. But when we do our annual flushing in the different areas, it is going to stir up what's in their pipes and end up in the system. So we do our best, and I know our communications officer is always, she never misses. It's only when she may not get the information that she wouldn't put it out. So I got to make sure that people know that. Sorry, Mr. Chapman. But in all fairness, just watch for the postings and that to see if there is flushing going on in your area. And once again, the Voyant Alert app is available, and that is something that will give you information that is directly related to you. And we do understand the frustration, obviously with the water problems. We've spent a lot of time talking about it and trying to find solutions, as have staff, and have done an excellent job to get where we're to. But when you got discolored water, or you ruin a load of laundry, or, you know, you can't get a shower in the morning, or whatever the case may be, we get it, and we appreciate that frustration, and know full well that we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to avoid that. Development, I won't say much about development now because it's coming up in the committee of the whole, and I will speak a little bit about it then, as will others probably. But the housing amendments that you see there that are being proposed, you know, this is just another reflection of council's effort and staff, as is mentioned there, to be able to be as proactive as we can to meet the challenges that exist. When you talk about the whole social determinants of health, housing is high on that list. And we know there's a housing crisis really all across the country, and we're not used to it in Newfoundland and Labrador, maybe in St. John's for years, and we might have had it to a small extent, but we're seeing a huge increase of people who can't afford a place to live, and obviously want to live here and can't because there may not be anything available. And, you know, that's frustrating for us. So these amendments are a way to give more flexibility, to allow people to do more, and it's sticking with the changing times. We're not unique in this. This is going to be, lots of communities are moving in this direction, and it's being suggested, I guess, or encouraged by governments of both provincial and federal, because we had to find people, we had to have housing. We have to. And it's a problem that we're trying to tackle. Okay, that's all I have. Last chance on the Public Works. No? Okay, we've got a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Motion carried. Okay, Committee of the Whole. We do have 3 sets of minutes. We have a couple of councillors who will have to excuse themselves, but I believe the first set is the most thorough set, I guess. So we'll ask the Deputy Mayor if he would read those into the record, and we'll deal with the other 2 small ones after.
Thank you, Mayor. Committee of the Whole met 5 p.m. Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. Those in attendance were myself as Chair, Mayor Barry Manuel, Councillor Amy Cody, Councillor Holly Dwyer, Councillor Bob Hiscock, Councillor Andrew Little, and Councillor Dave Knoll. Staff in attendance: Darren Finn, our Chief Administrative Officer; Nelson Chapman, Director of Public Works and Development; Steve Goss, Director of Corporate Services; Todd Mercer, Director of Community Services; and Robin Hannaford, our Communications Officer. First order of business was the Exploit Search and Rescue support requests. The committee discussed Exploit Search and Rescue's request for financial support towards purchasing a new vehicle. This vehicle is crucial for their ice rescue operations and equipment transport, replacing an aging vehicle from 1991. After considering the vital role played by the rescue team and their extensive volunteer hours, the committee recommends a donation of $2,500 to assist with the purchase of the new vehicle or support their general operations. The committee also recommends the volunteer members of the Exploit Search and Rescue. Let me say that again, Mr. Mayor. The committee also commends the volunteer members of the Exploit Search and Rescue for their dedication to the community. Correspondence from the Stewardship Association of Municipalities, SAM. SAM, in collaboration with the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, seeks the town's support in their campaign to prevent aquatic invasive species. The committee acknowledges the importance of this environmental initiative and recommends working closely with SAM to identify suitable areas for posting awareness signs. Additionally, the committee supports organizing educational events to raise awareness about the threat of aquatic invasive species and their impact on the local ecosystems. Health Accord Coalition Update. The committee received an update on the ongoing concerns regarding staffing levels and recruiting primary care doctors for the newly established family care team. This team plays a vital role in providing primary health care services to thousands of residents. The committee expresses gratitude to the Health Accord Coalition for their efforts in addressing these concerns and actively engaging with Newfoundland and Labrador health authorities. The committee recommends continued collaboration with the coalition and urges immediate action to resolve the staffing shortages in the family care team. Land development adjacent to Tulit Drive and Park Street. The committee discussed recent public concerns regarding potential land acquisition for housing development. There is inaccurate information circulating about the scale and impact of the proposed development. The committee recommends staff gather more information regarding the land in question and to verify with the school board if they are even interested in transferring this land. Staff shall report to the council in a future committee meeting to address concerns and provide clarity on the matter. Taylor Road improvements. The committee discussed the urgent need for repairs and maintenance along Taylor Road, particularly addressing potholes and shoulder areas. These improvements are essential for ensuring road safety and accessibility for residents and visitors. The committee recommends action to address the identified issues, including cleaning up adjacent areas for parking and installing necessary signage to control parking, any sign for this area that promotes the Exploits River. Traffic concerns. The committee expressed concerns about ongoing issues related to excessive speeding observed across the town. Efforts to curb speeding behavior have been ongoing with our municipal enforcement, including increased patrols and awareness campaigns. The committee recommends continued vigilance in enforcing speed limits and ensuring pedestrian safety, especially at high-risk areas such as crosswalks. Crosswalk for Pride. The committee discussed plans for painting a Pride crosswalk and the progress of related event preparations. The committee acknowledges the importance of promoting inclusivity and diversity within our community. Staff will continue to coordinate with event organizers to ensure all necessary arrangements are in place for a successful Pride event, including the painting of the crosswalk as planned. The meeting adjourned at 7:30 p.m. and I move the recommendations and report of this committee.
Okay, it's been moved by Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Dwyer. Any discussion or comments on the first set of minutes, committee of the whole? Councillor Dwyer.
Thank you, Mayor. As Deputy Mayor Brown discussed in the minutes there, we do have ongoing concerns about staffing levels and recruiting primary care physicians in Grand Falls-Windsor. The coalition and members of council met with Minister Osborne, not last week, but the week before, and we stressed the urgent need in this community for family physicians, but also for family physicians to staff the family care team, because we do have family physicians in the area who are willing to work on the family care team. And it was important to us that the minister understood the dire need that we have to have that family care team staffed immediately. And Cyril Farrell, being the president of our coalition, he was very frank, and, you know, Cyril said, I've never held a placard in my life, but I'm willing and ready, because this is a situation that's very different than it is on the East Coast or east of the overpass. And, you know, we talk about how many people in Grand Falls-Windsor don't have a family physician, and that number comes from the number of people who have registered with Patient Connect, which is somewhere around 4,000 that are not connected to a family physician. But I suspect that number is double, if not triple, 4,000. And so it's really, really important for residents who don't have a family physician to register with Patient Connect, because otherwise we talk about this 4,000, and I am certain that it's a lot more. So if you haven't registered with Patient Connect, or you know of somebody in your family or a neighbor who hasn't, and they need help registering, it's really important to do that so that the numbers can be more accurate. So subsequent to that meeting with the minister, we also met with Dave Diamond, who's the CEO of NL Health Services, and Dr. Gina Bugden, yes. And we expressed the same sentiments to them, and they have been in negotiation with family physicians who are interested in working with the family care team. This is not, it's our issue. It's our issue in Grand Falls-Windsor. It is probably the biggest issue that we have now. But it's up to them to figure out how to make this work. We've said all along that we are happy that the family care team is set up and we believe that it's going to make a difference. But until they staff it with physicians, it's not really set up. So.
Okay, thanks for that, and I'll add on to that a little bit, or maybe give my perspective and your perspective are usually a little bit different in our tones and how we deliver it. I do know that in the meeting with the minister that I was as blunt and as frank and as, I guess, forceful to get everything we needed to say in as I've ever been before. I don't know if it's any coincidence that he put out his retirement a couple of days later. He's going to retire. I don't believe so. But, in all seriousness, just to elaborate, we got these 4,000 people on a list and haven't got a family doctor. So what happens if you haven't got a family doctor? Well, you got to go to the health hub. Well, we got a health hub that is supposed to be picking up the slack, and that in itself is over capacity. People can't get in there. Sometimes there's messages out that they don't have enough staff for that, and they're turning people away. So then what do? You go to the emergency department, and anybody had the unfortune to go to the emergency department anytime recently will know that there's long waits, and it's very frustrating. I've heard of waits up to almost 20 hours, and I'm sure there's probably more longer than that. And for us, we see that a lot of our residents may not be going to emerge when they have issues, when they should be going to see a doctor because they don't want to wait 20 hours. We know that there's people leaving the emerge because they're waiting so long and not being treated by doctors. What's happening to those people? If they have issues and they're not being addressed, you take some of the worst diseases and cancer particularly that we see as an example. We know that if you leave it, your chances every day are getting slimmer. And so the frustrating part for us, to elaborate on what Councillor Dwyer said again, is that we've had, and I've said this lots of times in council, but we've had almost about 80% of our family physicians have given up their practices in Grand Falls-Windsor. 80%. We're gone from like 30 down to half a dozen. And they're frustrated. They are frustrated with the system. They're frustrated with the lack of support. And as a result, they've had to step away for their own health and for their own benefit because they can't keep up with it anymore. But the good news is for us is that a lot of these physicians, particularly, a group of 8 or so, who actually put a proposal forth to government to staff the family care team, are still living here in Grand Falls-Windsor because they want to stay here. They want to live and practice in Grand Falls-Windsor, so they're taking their shifts at the Emerge, they're taking their shifts at the OBS, they're doing a clinic in the hospital, they're being able to move around, and the health hub in some cases, but they're not helping with the family care team, which lacks a family physician, the most important thing. 4,000 patients on Patient Connect, lots more for sure that haven't done that. And when it comes to the family care team, we got, I don't know the number, but last time I was told, it was about 10% of those 4,000 have been uploaded. And that's been on the go now for a year or more. So do the math. Are we going to have to wait 8 or 10 years for a family doctor? or to get to see the family care team? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, and it's unacceptable. And like Councillor Dwyer said, you know, we are ready, if we don't get the answer we want very soon, to go for public action. And we want the community to be behind us on that and actively involved. We've seen it around other areas of the province where, you know, that tends to get their attention, unfortunately. And so we will give them a demonstration that they've never seen before, because we're getting more and more frustrated. And we said that when we met with the minister. He wanted us to wait to see Mr. Diamond, because we already had the meeting scheduled, which we did. And Mr. Diamond wanted us to wait until today to get an update. We got an update. He wants us now to wait till Wednesday. There are negotiations on to go with these physicians, because these physicians are living here and they are willing to work collectively for the family care team, but they're not willing to apply for a full-time position with the family care team that's going to take away all their flexibility, that's not remunerated as it should be, and less in many cases than what they're getting doing the other things. They want to be able to have flexibility. They want to be able to do their clinics, to do their OBS, to do emerge shifts, and do a day or so in the family care team. So what's wrong with having 5 to 8 doctors sharing the workload in the family care team? Well, you know, government says it's all about salaries, and, you know, if we do it here, there's a ripple effect. And I said, hogwash, because we see it all the time. Don't tell me about ripple effects and all this. You're spending money all over the place. Put it here, fix this. This is not a big lot of money. These physicians who are doing some of these emerge shifts are doing double coverage shifts because they need to, making a big lot of money, which government is spending. In the long run, they would save a fortune if they were just to take care of this, and we would have coverage in our community. You know, when you look at the what the physicians have been talking about, it's not unheard of at all. I mean, it's common practice in other areas, but because it's not on the family care team, well, you know, we got to live in that box. But again, there's all kinds of solutions that get found. I mean, you know, everybody accused me of being anti-Gander and all that. Is also a pile of garbage. We're just looking out for Grand Falls-Windsor. But we had a health accord that said that OBS was supposed to be in Grand Falls-Windsor. And people in Gander, and they're right, and they should. They screamed and yelled. The health accord was fresh off the shelf, just in the public. First thing they did is go against it. First thing they did is undermine the health accord. What did that tell you? That tells you it's there for when they want to use it to justify decisions, and it'll stay away when they want to make decisions that are not included. And it's as simple as that. And to see that in probably 6 or 8 months, they found 2 or 3 obstetricians for Gander, extra staff, extra that, and they can't staff our family care team? Come on, like... Anyways, it's, you know, we get the same old lip service all the time, and I would suggest that after tomorrow, whatever we hear, we will likely be moving if it's not what we want, which is telling us that that family care team will have physicians who are going to be tending to the patients here in Grand Falls-Windsor. Anyway, I could go on all night on that, as you can tell, but it's frustrating for everybody. And healthcare is a provincial responsibility. It's not even a municipal responsibility, really. And we've been spending a lot of time, as you can tell. And the Health Coalition, and Searle, and the rest of the group have been doing excellent work. And we're trying to do things to help the residency program, and that's another thing. A lot of these family doctors who gave up their practices are not practicing now. They're preceptors for med students. And you know, there's issues with that as well, but having preceptors to be able to train med students here in Grand Falls-Windsor, and not so long ago, this was the preferred location. Med students wanted to come here, because they could go to Killick, they could go to the hospital. They liked all the doctors here. They thought they were phenomenal trainers, and we had retention because of that. We had, one year, there were 6 medical residents, and all 6 of them stayed here and lived. And now, we're down to a shattered residency program because the doctors are no longer given that. So there's so many ways to be able to save money, you know, and you talk about the incentive for new physicians, a couple $100,000 signing bonus or whatever it is in a number of places, and they added Grand Falls-Windsor after we screamed a little bit about that. But why not give retention money, give money to retention? Why does it have to be new doctors all the time? Like, why don't we give... Anyway, it's, I don't know, it's frustrating. And with that, I'm going to close on that point, and if anybody else got anything to say, I guess, let me know, and I'll take some breather. Anybody else on the first committee of the whole minutes? Okay. No other commentary? Okay, Councillor Little.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate your candor and commend the hard work of Councillor Dwyer, Searle, and the Coalition. You do a lot of great work. Just the land development adjacent to Tulet and Park. That's something that's come up. We've seen a lot on social media recently. A lot of reaction to something that I'm not really sure that was worth the negativity that was in the community. There was no decision made. It was one of many areas we looked at for potential development. For some reason, before we could have any consultation with the parties that would be affected, this was put out there, and there was a lot of worry and upset people in town over something that's a long way away from being reality, in my opinion, at this point. Not saying it will be or won't be, but it's a long way from that point. And I'm sure you'll have something to say about it in a second.
Who, me?
Yes, in a second. Your candor will come out again. But anyways, it's not something I think residents need to worry about right now. I think any amount of feedback is always welcome in a respectful sort of way. I'm sure anyone would welcome that. But to get on Facebook and other social media and just put it out there with very little context or incorrect context, it did a lot of harm. I felt it did a lot of harm. It did not make us look good as a community as a whole. The community, it didn't paint us in a good way, and it wasn't personally upsetting. But it was just disappointing, really, to see it turned out that way, and it didn't have to be that way. But hopefully, as the process moves forward, and if that is an area that we do feel that we should look at moving forward, there will be consultation with those parties involved, and we'll come together with a solution one way or the other. So I guess the message would be that there's no time to fret at this point, and take it as it goes.
Yep, thanks for that. And as you predicted, I will add to that now. Much different than the last issue, of course, because the last issue is so serious and so frustrating. And this one is just something that was so unnecessary because we had, and over the years of my council time, mayor time, there's a handful of times I took to Facebook and put a big rant on there. I haven't been on there since the day I answered a couple of questions on there. If anybody wants to answer questions and talk to me, I'm willing to do that in the office, on the phone, or anything like that, but I don't do much Facebook. But I think it's important in this case to get all the information out there, and for those that would have read the post, we had a lot in there I did about what exactly happened here. That we had a staff, and it goes back to the development, we asked staff to identify areas in town, anywhere they could find, that there's possibilities for development. So we're in this process where we got 25 areas and a conceptual drawing that there's a little cul-de-sac superimposed over it that can be done in 5 seconds. And that document that was supposed to be internal ended up in the hands of school council and parents, and understandably, everybody was upset, because if I had, thought that that was a development plan, I'd be upset too, but it wasn't. It wasn't at all. We had, no time, of course, to get to any point where we would discuss this further. And as I said in the post, we, when this came up first, and I think all councillors were at that meeting, the first thing I said was, now, there's a trail out there, right? Because I was indirectly involved at the beginning there from some consulting, I guess, with my experience at Corridor Brook. But we wanted to make sure that staff understood and everybody understood that whatever, if any development were ever to go there, it would only happen if we can make sure that we don't interrupt the integrity of that trail. And that hasn't changed. So it just goes to show a couple things, really, to me. It goes to show when something that's supposed to be internal, a discussion document, gets out in the public, it can cause a lot of damage. And secondly, the power of social media sometimes, in an unfortunate way. And again, I don't blame the parents. I don't, or the school council or anybody who was upset. But it was also unnecessary. And our goal was always consultation. And, please reach out. Like if you ever got, and I'd like to thank the people who did reach out, because I had a lot of calls. And if people got questions about anything, or you don't agree with things, or whatever the case may be, we're more than happy to try to answer your questions. So I'll leave that at that as well. But it was disappointing to see, because even the kids were upset unnecessarily, and the last thing we want to do is that, any of us, and I'm sure everybody would agree. So any other comments on that or anything else with the first set of committee of the whole minutes? Councillor Cody.
Now that the Band-Aid's been ripped off. Just to talk a little bit more about that, and not even related to that issue, just the need for housing in our community. I just mentioned in our Public Works and Development Committee meeting the different regulation changes that we're proposing to allow for infilling and additional garden suites and additional apartments and single-family dwellings and things like that. There's a tremendous need in our community and in the whole province for housing. We're in a housing crisis, and we have, people who are moving or relocating to neighboring communities because they can't get housing here. They're trying to downsize from their large homes. The large homes are in huge demand because we have families who want to move into the community who can't find appropriate housing. There's no land development happening that they can build, or the time it takes to build a home. They don't have that kind of time. They want to get into the community. They can't buy a house. You've got elders who want to downsize, move into cottage-style homes, can't find suitable housing. They're moving to neighboring communities. All the services are in Grand Falls-Windsor. So they're moving to other communities. Their tax dollars are going into those communities, their property taxes and whatnot. But they're coming to Grand Falls-Windsor. They're using our roads. They're, taking advantage of our parks, our recreation facilities, everything. It's our residents' tax dollars who fund all of those services. So if we don't come up with new ways or additional property tax revenue to be able to continue to fund all of the things that we provide, garbage collection, whatever, and we have people in neighboring communities who are coming up in our community using all of our offerings, then the burden comes on our existing residents again, because we still have to maintain those services. We still have to plow our roads, we still have to pick up garbage, we still have to maintain our stadiums, our YMCA, our walking trails. So the need is huge. We've applied for, and we spent more than a week or more, our director, applying for Housing Accelerator funding. With that application, there's a commitment that we are to provide certain types of housing and a certain number of various types of housing in order to even be eligible to receive that money. That money will make a huge difference in our community to be able to extend our infrastructure for the housing that's required, do repairs and upgrade existing infrastructure that's necessary. We're still waiting to hear on our application. It's not great news when you see a community coming out and speaking out against a thought, which is all it was, a thought, an exploration, say, of a piece of property that could potentially help fill the needs in the Housing Accelerator funding application to get us this money, to be all over the news, all over social media saying, we don't want it because there's trail access in that area. And we haven't even had a chance to have the conversation about it, or explore other areas or the need for the housing. So, you know, it's comments like that and it's attention like that, that when you're dependent on funding from the federal and provincial government and they want good news stories and they want good publicity, it's not great optics when you see people speaking out against housing proposals because one area may be affected, when the discussion was in a totally different direction. You know, that again, we will speak about later when we have the ability to speak about something, because again, we don't even know how this is going. But I've spoke about it several times, like, we need housing. We want to be an inclusive community, and we want to be able, we're always talking about what a welcoming community are. We can't welcome people to our community if we don't have places for them to live, stay, raise their families. So again, just please keep an open mind when we're talking about housing developments. This is all very, very preliminary, but we can't plan if we don't talk about what's available or do the research or the work to find out what is even plausible at this point. So again, thank you, Councillor Little, for bringing it up, and Mayor for your comments. But again, just, you know, we work hard. I mean, none of these decisions are fly-by-night. Our Public Works and Engineering Department, you know, our Recreation Department, Finance Department, like, we're all working in tandem to come up with the best solutions to move our community forward. And like I said, nothing is fly-by-night. There's a lot of conversation, a lot of planning, and a lot of work that goes into moving these ideas forward, or stopping them when, you know, facts present themselves that, you know, maybe it's not feasible. But again, just please keep an open mind, be supportive. Public consultation will happen, it always happens, and we appreciate your feedback at that point when we can have informed conversations about what's happening.
Yeah, and
Thank you, Mayor.
thank you, Councillor Cody, and we do welcome that, you know. Obviously, any council would be silly to think that they do everything right or do everything perfectly, so on any topic, we're open to people to have something to say, to give their input, and it's important. And I'm glad Councillor Cody kept it going, because I did miss one point that is important about this, and it's the fact that one thing that a lot of people say to me and have said is, you know, why are you touching that? There's land everywhere. Do something, do it somewhere else. But if you're on our side, you'll see that there's not land everywhere, at least not land that we can control or develop. you know. A lot of the land in Grand Falls-Windsor is privately owned. We can't force developers to develop. And this is why we're trying to change all these regulations to make it more feasible for developers to develop and to support them in getting things going. And there is a lot of activity behind the scenes, which is good news. There's a lot of people that want to build here, and we're trying to identify land. But when you look at land outside the community a bit, or, you know, then you talk about infrastructure and the cost of your water and sewer and your, all the costs that go along with development are greater. And, you know, we got Grenfell Estates there. Why can't you build down there? Well, because there was planned to build down there. But sadly, the gentleman who was heading that passed away a few years ago, and the family hasn't been interested in moving on that. We've been trying to get them to do that, or to sell it so that someone else could develop it, right? Well, what about, you know, where's another area up on Grenfell Heights? Or, you know, what about up behind the Millcrest School? And what about, where am I thinking about? Yes, Northcliffe Street, which was another planned one, or up around Ivanys Road. But, you know, it's difficult to find land that we can just say that we have control to develop. And the town are not developers, you know, we're really not, and we shouldn't be. And people, you know, hear tiny homes and should consider this and should consider that. I agree. I'd love to see those proposals come forward. But again, you know, if they're not coming forward, then there's nothing really that we can do about that. And I know that's a short answer. There's a lot more. We could go through every area anybody could think of. If they want to sit down, I'll do that with you. And, you know, just to close on social media again, I guess. And I see Councillor Little smiling because I say this a lot. I don't have any time for it, and I don't really spend any time on there. But I have, on occasion, put a post on there putting out facts. And if anybody wants to challenge any of those facts for any of my posts over the years, you're more than welcome to do so. But when you think about it, I mean, if we were to be reactive, or I was to be reactive to social media, I'd spend all my time on Facebook every day, all day. And I'm not willing to do that. I don't think it's the right thing to do for council, but I do get it's a part of that. And, you know, I took the time, well, all weekend really, to do the posts and to answer several people. And I didn't watch the story on the evening news. I heard there was a story there that some lady suggested I was unprofessional in a response, but I wasn't. And I'm not sure why she didn't post the conversation. All I did was respond to her and give her the information, and you know, I just don't get it sometimes. But anyhow, enough on that, and we'll move on, I guess, if no one else has any comments on committee of the whole. Number 1. Okay, Councillor DeWar.
Exploit search and rescue, probably the last opportunity for me besides new business to say what I wanted to say about that. So we spoke about the vital role that they play, and we had a discussion in committee of the whole about what would be an appropriate amount to donate given that they had reached their goal. And when we were talking about that, I thought it was important to let the public know, because I wasn't aware, that in addition to providing the $2,500, we also insure their vehicle, provide the land that their building is on and insure it, I believe. And also the town of Grand Falls-Windsor donated a truck that they use, the one that they're replacing. Yeah, yeah. So I thought it was important to say that, and we certainly do it because we're happy to do it, and we appreciate the work that they do, and the service that they provide us is invaluable. And you know, it is a group that they don't just, you know, wait for the donations to come in. You know, like Councillor Knoll said, that, and Councillor Cody, they were on the highway and collected 111 bags of garbage. 111, that's incredible. 30 volunteers. So, you know, they certainly know what it means to give back, and they had a moose burger sale this past week, sold 1,000 moose burgers, you know, after, you know, they have funds, and they're still fundraising, so that speaks a lot about the organization. They also have a Father's Day draw upcoming, so maybe we can all support that as well.
Yep, no, thanks for that. Any last comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Motion carried. Okay, for the next, let me see, where am I to here? Yeah, okay. I'm just getting back to my agenda there, that's all. Just bear with me for a sec. So Councillor Knoll is going to excuse us for this set of minutes. And when you're ready, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Committee of the Whole met 5:45 p.m. Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. Those in attendance were myself as Chair, Mayor Barry Emanuel, Councillor Amy Cody, Councillor Holly Dwyer, Councillor Bob Hiscock, Councillor Andrew Little. Staff in attendance, Darren Finn, our Chief Administrative Officer, Nelson Chapman, Director of Public Works and Development, Todd Mercer, Director of Community Services, and Robin Hannaford, Communications Officer. 2024 Paving Programme. The committee reviewed the proposed 2024 paving program, which includes 1,507 meters of paving with an estimated cost of $1 million. The program aims to provide road infrastructure across the town, addressing some areas with deteriorated road conditions. The committee recommends approving the program and issuing tenures promptly to ensure timely completion of the paving projects. The meeting adjourned at 6 p.m. and I'll move with my recommendations and report to this committee.
Okay, it's been moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Dwyer. Any discussion on the Committee of the Whole number 2? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Motion carried. If someone would, Councillor Hiscock, if you don't mind. Okay, and the Deputy Mayor will excuse us for Committee of the Whole number 3. And I guess in his absence, I'll ask Councillor Cody if you would mind reading that for us.
Committee of the Whole met Wednesday, May 22nd at 6:30 p.m. In attendance, Mayor Barry Emanuel, Councillor Amy Cody, Councillor Holly Dwyer, Councillor Bob Hiscock, Councillor Andrew Little, Councillor Dave Knoll. Staff, Darren Finn, Chief Administrative Officer, Nelson Chapman, Director of Public Works and Development, Steve Goss, Director of Corporate Services, Town Clerk, Todd Mercer, Director of Community Services, and Robin Hannaford, Communications Officer. South and Central Health Foundation Charity Golf Tournament. The committee discussed the invitation received from the South and Central Health Foundation regarding their charity golf tournament scheduled for August the 15th. The tournament aims to raise funds for critical healthcare initiatives in the region. The council recognizes the importance of supporting such charitable events that contribute to community well-being. The committee recommends the town enter a team into the tournament. The meeting adjourned at 6:50 p.m. and I move the recommendations and the report of the committee.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Cody, seconded by Councillor Hiscock. Any discussion on the Committee of the Whole minute number 3? Councillor Cody.
Yeah, I'll just offer some clarification. I mean, the fundraiser is at the golf club. All the proceeds go towards the South and Central Health Foundation as a fundraiser for that organization. The reason the deputy mayor stepped away is because it is at the golf club. There could be some financial benefit from bar sales or whatnot from, from patrons of the tournament. But again, the funding itself, the actual funds raised go to the South and Central Health Foundation, not to the golf club.
Yeah, and as we said a lot of times in the past, when it comes to conflict of interest, obviously everybody should take it seriously, and we always err on the side of caution, and some of these things seem kind of minor at times, but we may as well be on the safe side, which is what we did, so thanks for the clarification. Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Motion carried. Mr. Finn. Okay, we'll move into, no, we won't. We've got a resolution first, and I'm not sure who is reading that into the record. Does anybody know? Deputy Mayor, are you okay with that, since it's in committee of the whole?
It is. Thank you, Mayor. Resolution GFW 2024-392, Resolution Schedule A 2020 to 2023 Multi-Year Capital Works Program. Whereas the town of Grand Falls, Windsor qualifies for funding under the Provincial Multi-Year Capital Works Program. Whereas all projects and funding allocation under these agreements must be approved through the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. And whereas the town of Grand Falls, Windsor has been approved for funding under the 2020 to 2023 Multi-Year Capital Works Program. Therefore, be it resolved, the town of Grand Falls, Windsor agrees to provide the ultimate recipients portion of the 2020 to 2023 Multi-Year Capital Works Program as identified as the municipal share in the attached Schedule A. And Mayor, I propose the resolution.
Okay, it's proposed by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Little. Any discussion on the resolution? Hearing none. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Okay, any notice of motion? No notice of motion. We'll move into other business. I lost my track and someone keeps taking my desk pad.
Councillor Hiscock, I think.
Who's up first tonight? Councillor Hiscock? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to reiterate, if I may, Mayor, some of the things that we spoke about earlier with regards to the events unfolding in the town and special events and whatever. Just like to say that on May the 23rd, of course, 23rd, we hosted the residents that new residents moved into town the last couple of years. We had 17 children, 37 adults, barbecue, bouncy castle. It was a great time. It was excellent evening. That day, before that, of course, was a seniors event at St. Albans Church. Our guest speaker was Mr. Dave Moore, one of our town employees, our horticulturalist. Gave a great chat on gardening, and it could have went on a lot longer, but people were hungry. But it was just a great chat, very informative, and you know, as Dave now, it was a bit of fun too, for sure. Yeah, it was just a great thing. Also, as we spoke earlier, Mayor, tomorrow at Memorial United Church, the seniors wellness check-in and lunch starts at 10:30 to 2 p.m. Michelle Critch is going to be doing some chair exercises for seniors and that. Also, Dr. Krista Burney, Healthy Mind and Healthy Aging, she's going to be speaking on. And also our very own Tina Jewer, a lawyer from here in Grand Falls, Windsor, will be talking about the very important topics, wills, and of course, power of attorney and things like that. So it's going to be a great thing. And a lunch will be provided, certainly, and music by Mr. Ralph Angel and his group. So it was going to be just an absolutely fabulous day. And of course, when these events, Mr. Mayor, hit the Facebook page, they're gone. They're blocked within sometimes minutes or a day, you know. But I just ask people to just keep an eye out. There's a bunch of events coming up. Also, Mr. Mayor, if I may, June the 8th, Ride the River's Edge bike race, 50-kilometer off-road bike race through various terrain throughout the Exploits region. So that should be a great thing. Also, June the 9th, it's a Centennial Cup road race in partnership with the YMCA is going to be taken on as well. And lastly, June the 21st, the Shed Party, which is going to be another great event. So, and I just ask people, keep your eyes on our Facebook page, because there's lots and lots of things coming up all throughout this summer, and of course right through the end of the year. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, and thanks for that and providing the details as well. It was important to note again, you know, Facebook is powerful and we can reach a lot of people, but obviously there's a lot of people like me that don't look at Facebook very often. So you can call the department, you can check the website, you can, you know, come see us, whatever you want to do. We'll give you a list of the events that we have planned and the dates to help you out. And, you know, we try to get the information out, but again, as I said lots of times, it's challenging these days to get information out to the community at large. But we do understand that not everybody is on Facebook. It's just that it is most people are, I guess, and it is where we do a lot of our good work. Okay, Councillor Little.
Thank you, Mayor. Wednesday, June 5th, the Grand Falls House Foundation is having their annual general meeting. Registration is required, so you can email pmbartlett@nfsimpatico.ca, or tomorrow, the next day, we're going to repost that on our Facebook account again, so the information will be there if people want to register and attend that. A lot of people ask about the Grand Falls House, and this is a great opportunity for them to get out and see some of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Besides that, the only other thing I have is the Nandies event that was mentioned earlier, the Mayor mentioned earlier. It was a huge success. My wife attended. She said it's the best event we've ever done.
Wow.
She said it was amazing, yeah. And she looks forward to the 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, and 40s. But no, she said it was the best event she's ever attended that we've done. So
Yeah.
it was a huge success. And I've heard that from a few other people since, actually.
Yeah, me too.
So keep up the good work and look
Yep.
forward to more of them.
Perfect. Thank you. Councillor Dwyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Tomorrow, the 29th, is Red Shirt Day. To show your support for Canadians living with disabilities, wear your red shirt tomorrow. And we wore our red shirts yesterday and had a photo taken down in front of the town hall with some of our accessibility committee members, including Ray Fair and Amanda Saunders and Ashley Sullivan were there. So it's nice to see them. And we'll continue our work to try to make Grand Falls-Windsor more accessible.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Dwyer. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Just some congratulations to pass on this evening here. Firstly, to a presentation that was made to a couple of ladies who were involved in the Gaudi movement in Grand Falls-Windsor and the province. Received some significant acknowledgement of their service to the Gaudi movement in Grand Falls-Windsor, and like I said, provincially. Vera Miller received a pin for 75 years being involved with the Gaudi movement. It was called the Girl Guides at one time, but the Gaudi movement. So congratulations to Vera Miller for 75 years of commitment to that organisation, and to Marie Sanders for 65 years of dedicated service to the Gaudi movement provincially and in Grand Falls-Windsor. Certainly, anytime you can provide 75 and 65 years of your time to one organisation, you're doing very, very well. And congratulations to Vera Miller and Marie Sanders for that, and to Dolly Hart for the presentation. Dolly is the president of the Heritage Trefle Guild. So congratulations everybody on that. We had our Special Olympians from Grand Falls-Windsor, special athletes, traveled to Cornerbrook this weekend to participate in the provincial bowling. And to say they did very well would be saying it lightly. The Exploits Hurricanes Pin Pals won a gold medal, and members of that team were Amanda Collins, David Keogh, Travis Lidstone, Caleb Blackmore, and Paul Phillips. So congratulations to those guys on your gold medal that you won in Cornerbrook over the weekend. The Exploits Hurricanes Lucky Strikers also won gold. Megan Price, Melvin Hannums, Evan Wicks, Brandon Fuhr, and Jordan Fry. So congratulations to those guys. And the Exploits Hurricanes Aces won a silver medal in Cornerbrook. Jeffrey Mercer, Colin Adams, Tyler Thompson, Eddie Phillips, and Paul Thomas. So congratulations to that team as well. A complete success for the Exploits Hurricanes and their trip to Cornerbrook this past weekend, and certainly not able to do it without the volunteers, the head coach Trevor Wicks, and coaches Pauline Price and Paul McQueenie. And the chef de mission for this particular trip was Colleen Ryan. So congratulations to all those individuals representing Grand Falls-Windsor and Cornerbrook, and coming back with a lot of gold and silver medals. And all of these athletes participated in the individual events as well, and fared very well as well. Michelle Critch, our Director of Community Services, remind me, won a gold medal in Gander this past weekend at the Provincial Gymnastics Championships. She's the most senior gymnast to win a gold medal in a provincial gymnastics event. So congratulations to Michelle Critch as well for that accomplishment.
She can beat you up too, because
She's a former World Karate Championship. A good girl to have on your side, we'd say.
Yes, sir.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely, and a great person.
She is so. Thank you, Mayor.
No, thank you, Deputy Mayor. And it's a good thing the Bruins are not in the playoffs anymore. You might be late for your game later tonight.
So be it. We're knocked out for another season. We'll see what happens next year.
Yeah. Councillor Cody.
Thank you, Mayor. Off the Cuff Community Choir is holding their spring concert This Sunday, June 2nd at 2:30 p.m. at the Memorial United Church. The cost is $20. You can get tickets from any member of the choir. They do have a Facebook page, Off the Cuff Community Choir, so you can find out the members there, or you can just pay at the door as well. So a reminder, if you're looking for something to do Sunday afternoon, certainly taking that lovely event. And I also wanted to just mention a couple of very fine gentlemen who were involved in the repatriation of the unknown soldier who came back to the province just this past weekend. And forgive my ignorance in this because I don't know the titles, the ranks. It's just I'm not involved, so I don't know. But I wanted to recognize the two gentlemen, Alex Reed and James Deering. Both were pallbearers. And carried the casket of the unknown soldier in this repatriation ceremony. So beautiful pictures all over Facebook, all over the news, to see and hear the pride of their family members that these two young men were involved in this historic event. Even speaking to my own children about it because they're family friends and my son graduated with James, and Alex is a friend of the family for a long time. Just to hear the pride in them talking about it, to hear my kids say, that was James, that was Alex. They're going to be in history books. This is a moment that nobody really will ever experience again, this historical moment, and to be such a special moment, and for them to be involved, to be from Grand Falls-Windsor and be involved. And I know they had to do a lot of work and preparation to be involved in that event, and just the significance of that, and I'm sure a moment that they will cherish their whole lives. And not knowing, what their career path is going to be, if they will choose to continue with, in the Army or the reserves, or whatever type of activity and career development that they're looking at. This is such a historical moment for them and for the province and for the country, really. So congratulations to them both. I know they're very appreciative of the opportunity to be involved, and appreciate certainly the significance of the event itself. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Noel?
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things this evening. First and foremost, I want to give a hats off, a big shout out to two more students from Ex-West Valley High, Hannah Morris and Amber Chippett, who've taken it upon themselves to reinvigorate, the Relay for Life. And it was scheduled for tomorrow, but inclement weather, we've postponed it now until Thursday from 1 to 6 p.m. The back of the Ex-West Valley High, in a great new facility, that's led by another faculty member of Ex-West Valley High, but it's a community park as well, in the back of the high school there. So these two young ladies have started it off, and we've got a lot of school spirit involved, a lot of monies raised, so I'm told, and just encourage the public, if you're out and about on Thursday afternoon from 1 to 6, to swing by, because this used to be huge in Grand Falls-Windsor once upon a time. It was a massive event, Relay for Life, and nice to see that it was kickstarted by two young ladies from Ex-West Valley High. Just driving around town, like so many other people on Sunday, dumpster diving. No, just kidding. But I was looking for wood for a fire pit because it's a tremendous opportunity. But in doing so, I was pleased to see that the basketball nets are all on people's lawns. It was just nice. For years we've been ranting about accessibility and sidewalks being taken up for the summer duration by these big massive entities that some students or young people have decided to build, but they're all on the lawns. It was cool, very nice to see. As we know, this Saturday salmon season starts, so this is near and dear to my heart. And again, I didn't bring it up earlier when we were talking about Taylor's Road. I'll talk about it now, but when you go behind the mill, there's no longer a mill there, but for us who grew up there, this is the jargon that we use, but we use Taylor Road. please be courteous. It's a game, kind of zipper, people on the other side, you give and take when crossing that bridge, because there's no one person has a yield sign like they do on Stony Brook. So it is a game of cat and mouse, and we don't need any road rage down around the middle stretch or the river crossing.
It's a
as we
long
work.
drop.
It's a long drop, yeah, absolutely. I've been on the bottom of that watching the logs come down, but that's a different story. But again, the cleanliness of it, it's nice and clean. I drove down yesterday and it's nice and clean. Like to see it that way. I know people like to camp there, and there's no one saying that you can't camp out on the side of the bridge. But I know that last year some people come in from out of town and they did camp there and they left a bit of garbage, but they were spoken to by some other anglers who knew of them, and they reminded them about what they did wasn't the correct thing to do. Treat the Exploits River with the respect, because it is a world-class river. And I keep saying that. So anglers, if you're down on the river on Saturday, take your leader with you. And I see that you've just about broken your neck trying to get down with your Tim's cup down over the rocks to Stony Brook, right? But then to leave your coffee cup there as a souvenir of your significance that you were there, no, that's sad. Toss the, crush it up, stick it in your back pocket, there we go, and take it with you when you go. And lastly, definitely not least, growing up, I kind of grew up down the Janeses on Suvla Road, and Mr. Janes had his 90th birthday Saturday past, and I was talking to the family, some of the members. I do have a card, so I just want to say, Pa, I got a card. I'll get down when I get a few minutes to get home. But congratulations on reaching the milestone, right? 90th birthday. So happy birthday. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I said enough, I think, tonight, but I got a couple of quick things. One is 90th birthday, actually, coincidentally. Mr. Scott James had his 90th birthday, and I was down, he's living at the Carmelite, I guess what we call the old Carmelite now, next to the hospital. And Scott James, for people who don't know, was one of the main drivers behind the idea of the Corduroy Brook Enhancement Association. Back in 1992, I think, himself and Art King got together. And Art had the disabilities people in mind, and he wanted to make sure they had an accessible and a recreational opportunity. And Scott was president of the Rotary Club at the time, and they had an interest in preserving the area of birch trees behind Lefty's Pizza. So between the two of them, they got together, and they felt that their ideas jived, and here we are 30 years later. But one of the nicest men I ever met, and definitely the smartest. And he was like AI before AI is a thing. And I see Mr. Mercer there smiling, because Tab was one of the first employees of Corduroy Brook before my time for a few years. So I'm sure he remembers some fond memories there as well. Happy birthday, Scott. Secondly, I wanted to mention that there's at the college tomorrow afternoon, because we got an email about it this evening, shared spaces. If anybody wants to go over to the College North Atlantic tomorrow afternoon between 2:30 and 3:30, it's all about shared spaces, which is basically an opportunity to pair people who may have an extra room in their home or two with students. So it's an opportunity for people to make some extra income on board or rent and find places for these students to live. So it's 2:30 to 3:30 at the college. And lastly, I wasn't going to bring this up, but I thought about it when everybody's talking about these people from Grand Falls-Windsor. Most of us probably heard on the news the last couple days that in St. John's, Jeff LeDrew, there was two Jeff LeDrews here, so this is the Sutherland Drive, Jeff LeDrew, Regis Jeff. He owns Jumping Bean and has for some time, and unfortunately he was the victim of a scam, an email scam, a very sophisticated one, that someone infiltrated an email thread and ended up getting a payment of $80,000. So he was the person who was hit there, and he's been on the news talking about it. But the other person from Grand Falls-Windsor that was on today is Kevin Andrews. And Kevin Andrews, Bruce Andrews' son, and there's two Bruce Andrewses, so is the Memorial Avenue Bruce Andrews, former advertiser. No, but Kevin is, he does a tech talk, and he has his own social media stuff, and he often is on VOCM talking about technology. And I guess where I'm going with this and ending is that for people out there, and we know we get a lot of seniors who watch the council meetings and a lot of people who don't have a lot of tech skills in particular, but everybody really, please be careful these days. Like, it's worse than it ever has been for people trying to hack and fool and defraud. Just make sure that before you give anybody your financial information, before you send anybody any money, that you check with someone that you trust to verify if this is actually something that you should be doing. And with AI now, artificial intelligence, and people's ability after going in everything, compounding drastically, we got more and more ability given to these scammers, unfortunately. So we even had to be more cautious. So just a reminder to end things tonight for me, and that's all I have. Anybody have any final comments? Yes, Councillor Hiscock.
Yeah, sorry, Mayor, I forgot.
okay,
I had
sir.
so many notes scribbled all over the place, but Salmon Fest tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 o'clock,
Perfect.
right? And you can get those online. So just want to let everybody know all the events coming up through Salmon Fest. Tickets are available starting at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Thank you, Mayor.
Awesome. Glad you mentioned it, and lots of good things on the Go Salmon Festival this year as well, so check it out. Okay. Last chance? Okay. Look for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Cody, second by Councillor Noel. Any discussion on the adjournment? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. We'll see you next time. Have a good evening and 3 weeks till we see you again.